Welcome to MedicalMarijuanaBootcamp.com. I'm Chubbs.
I'm Tang.
Today we're talking about one of the additional steps, the step 4 on how to start a medical marijuana collective. And this step is how to build your website. And it kind of covers both delivery and brick and mortar, because either way, the steps on how to build a site are pretty much the same. No?
Yep.
I mean, is there any difference in building a site for a delivery service versus, in your opinion, versus building a site for a brick and mortar shop?
Really, I don't see much of a difference. A good website is a good website because they're both going to have to be flexible and easily updated every day as the menus change.
Right.
It's a little bit better if you're a delivery and you use a platform like WordPress, because then you're able to update your delivery on the fly from your iPhone.
For the most part, though, when you're building the site, getting a domain, stuff like that, which we're about to go over, is there any difference, delivery versus brick and mortar?
No.
Designer, is there any difference delivery? Coding,
No.
Coding, none of that makes any difference at all. It's just a site is a site.
Good site's a good site. Bad site is a bad site.
Okay, so we're assuming you've gone through the first few steps that we made videos about already, and now you're at a point where you need to build your website. Let's say you're a complete novice, you don't know what you're doing. What's the first thing you want to do, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I go to GoDaddy and I buy a domain name.
What's a domain name?
Domain name is a place where people can find you on the internet, www.domainname.com.
So basically the name of your website.
Yep.
So really you need to come up with a name first.
This is assuming that if you've got this point, you should have a name for your delivery service, right, or dispensary.
Come up with your name. You go to GoDaddy.com, which is a business or a service that's used. Why don't you tell them exactly? Basically it's where you go to register your domain name.
Yeah.
And it costs what, $10?
Yeah, but you can use if you Google GoDaddy coupon, you can save a couple bucks and get a coupon.
Yeah. Those coupon codes are always there too. They're always good.
$7.95.
But yeah, that's the first thing you do. You come up with a name. First thing you do when building a website, come up with a name. Then you go to GoDaddy and find out if the name you want to use is available. If it's not, you can sometimes kind of tweak the name a little bit. Maybe come up with a slang version. You use a Z instead of an S.
Right.
Not a big fan of that. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do, just because it's hard to get a good domain name. Everything's taken.
Yep.
It's like trying to get a custom. It's like, imagine if everyone, if names were only able to be used once. You want to name your kid Steve. What are the chances that there's not another Steve out there already? You know what I mean? So you might go with Steve with 2 E's or something like that,
sure.
3 E's or something.
Steve1.com.
Exactly. So you have to do what you have to do. So. Assuming you find a name that works for you and is available on GoDaddy, you register it through GoDaddy.com. You now own a domain name. You now own abc.com or whatever. What's the next step?
The next step is to get a website built on the domain name that you just purchased.
Okay.
You can go. GoDaddy has Website Tonight. They have a service where you can go and pay GoDaddy $10 or whatever, and you can use their little web designer and make yourself a crappy little website.
Do you have to own any special computer or anything like that to have your own website?
No. GoDaddy hosts
the
server for you.
That's a commonly asked question: is do I need to host, or do I have to, physically have my website on my computer? And that's no. You can either use GoDaddy, or you can use a third-party host. Which is what we're doing.
Big sites need third party, but for a delivery site that's going to get less than 100 or a couple hundred hits a day, you're going to be fine going with GoDaddy, and they're pretty cheap.
Right. You've got the site name. You found a host. You've got your hosting plan set up. What's it going to cost to run a site? Let's say you go with GoDaddy.
Yeah.
What's it going to cost a month to have this site up and running? Let's say you're getting 200 to 300 hits a day, which is a good amount, believe it or not, for a small delivery service.
Yep.
What does that cost you?
That costs it's $7.95 a year for the domain name, and it's probably between $5 and $10 a month for the web hosting costs on GoDaddy.
You find your server, you find your host, you know where you're going to put this new domain that you own. What do you do next?
Then, unless you know HTML or CSS, you're going to want to find somebody to actually put a website up there for you.
A designer.
Yeah, web designer.
What's the easiest way to do that?
Easiest way to do that.
Google.
Well, we just added a vendor map section where you can find web design jobs in the industry, but lacking that, Google it. Friend that's IT, but
what would you Google?
I would Google
Web design.
Web design,
page
Orange
design.
County, something like that. Although it gets some expensive spots over there. There's some, there's actually some design companies that specialize in this industry. I know two of them actually.
Right. Oh shit, I do too.
Yep.
I just can't think of his domain name.
I know. One is Get High Design. Get High Design.
My good friend owns one that, and I apologize, JD, but it's slipping my name. He did marijuanareviews.com. It is called Brain Fart. I don't know. I can't think of the name right now. We'll throw it in. We'll edit this, throw it in. But for the most part, designers are chomping at the bit to get busy. It's not going to cost you. What's it going to cost you to get a site designed?
$200.
A couple $100 to get it up and running. Get the site designed. Have a completely custom design, all yours. Doesn't look like anybody else's site until they copy it, and you're good to go. So your total out of pocket for setting up your website is how much?
Let's say $300 to $400.
$300 to $400.
Yep.
Now, you're going to find that a lot of web designers are located outside the country.
Yeah.
Well, what's your opinion on using someone who's, in the U.S. versus someone who's in the Philippines or Vietnam or somewhere like that?
For your first, if this is your first web design project, you want to get somebody that you can get on the phone with and yell at. So I recommend you use somebody that's local. But if you've done some website stuff before, you might think about going offshore. There's some spots, but just be warned that you get what you pay for.
ogwebdesign.com.
There you go, Chubbs.
There you go. Just took a little Tahoe.
Yeah,
Little
so
Tahoe,
OG.
a little OG in the lungs to bring it back. So yeah, it's real easy. And you know what? Just if you have any questions, just right here in the comment box. Just comment and ask the question, and we'll be sure to answer it. As you can see from all the videos, we answer all the questions that are asked. And trust me, if there's anyone who knows how to put a website together quick and cheap, it's us. So yeah, I think that's pretty much covers everything, no?
Yep.
In regards to websites. I'm Chubbs, medicalmarijuanabootcamp.com.
I'm Tang.
Peace.
Peace.